Good morning, brothers and sisters. We welcome you to the Sunday morning session of the Tooele, Utah Valley View State Conference. Presiding today will be President Nathan R. Kitchen. Oh, wait, that's the wrong meeting. Can't tell you how long I've been dying to do that. I'm Lori Lee Hall, and not that other guy, and I'm just so glad to have you all here with us this morning in the Affirmation LGBTQ Sunday morning session of our spring conference. We'll begin today by doing something, as I mentioned to Deb. We break all the rules of how to run a church meeting, like starting later than we said we would, like what we're about to do, which is to get everybody up out of your comfortable chairs and go into another room for the musical number. We'll have the opportunity to hear Kylan Musgrave, right? Present a musical number. RJ Rasueño will be on the piano. I Need Thee Every Hour. And then, again, we'll move all back in here and get completely disrupted and sit down and have a prayer by Mike Klein, who's going to bring us back and anchor us to what we're here for. Following Mike's prayer, Renee Frost, a member of the Affirmation Board, will introduce our speaker, Debra Asper. Okay? So now here's where we get up and we go to the other room. For those online watching, I'm taking the microphone with so you can hear the song, but the screen's going to go dark for a minute. Good morning. Good morning. You're like, force it.
Just trying to show off other areas of the house. Sing carols in the living room. Oh, there she is. I was like, did she leave?
Close.
Yes.
Is that uncomfortable? I can stand on that side. Yeah, wherever you're comfortable.
Wherever you're comfortable.
If I cough, I'll make sure to cough away from the mic. I'm Kylan, that's great.
Josh, did you have the McDonald's turn the fan off? I think it may be by you.
Or Tom? Tom?
I got it. Thank you.
Oh, camera came with. Everyone goes back to your chairs now. I'm going to pray. Dear God, we ask Thee for Thy blessings this morning, and grateful for the McDonald's and all those who have prepared for this conference for us. We ask that we'll feel of Thy love here and through visiting with each other and learning from each other, and that we can learn in unconventional ways that will help touch each one of us in the way that would best suit us. We are grateful for our health and for this beautiful day. We love Thee, and we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Good morning. We are in for such a treat today to have Debra Asper here. Deborah and I met really sort of randomly, but totally meant to happen. I was in San Diego with my partner, Kim. We were there for San Diego Pride. And as we're watching the parade, all of a sudden our very dear friends, the Doysons, we see them who live in Salt Lake City, right? They were marching in for, was it Mormon Building Bridges or Affirmation? Affirmation. It was for Affirmation. So I'm sitting here, in all my Pride gear, on the sidewalk, and I see the Doysons, and they're walking with Deborah. And we were invited to her and her partner's home and sat around her pool and her fire pit. And it's the beginning of a beautiful friendship with a really amazing human being. So we're so privileged to have her speaking to us today on a topic that is something that I think all of us need, whether we're gay, straight, Mormon, or not. And so there's a lot of anticipation about your message and the tools that we can learn through you. Deborah's a licensed marriage and family therapist. She did her thesis project on how homophobia affects the developmental stages of the LGBTQ population, and she continues to carve out a portion of her private practice to work specifically with the LGBTQ community. She also does a lot of work for children and families with children that experience a lot of trauma. So she's an athlete. She was what did we say last night? You are the equivalent to Steve Young back in the day in women's basketball. So we have a legend. We do have a legend in our midst. That's a shame. And now she still enjoys her competitive nature by traveling the world, right? You've been out of the country on her rowing team. So she loves to travel. Her and her partner, Linda, have a 21-year-old daughter that they raised together. And without any more, we want to turn the time over to Deb.
So Kyle told me that I need to put this on and then put this on so I can be mobile. Okay, don't look. See my garments? No? Shh. Okay. We can joke like that here, right? Yeah. Are we good? Okay. Wow. Thank you for that lovely, beautiful. Of course, they had to choose literally the most emotional song. And I'm going, wait, I don't want to mess all my makeup up yet. So I had to almost. Thank you. Well, I feel like game day. I've been an athlete all my life, and I literally feel like I'm in game day mode. And ever since I met George and Allison, I've asked them, put me in the game, coaches, and they put me in the game, didn't they? Here I am in the game. I often ask my clients who often experience anxiety, I said, don't try to hide your anxiety, because the more you try to hide your anxiety, the worse it gets. So I'm going to walk the walk that I talk and say, I'm nervous. Yeah, I am anxious today. I've spent pretty much my whole adult life avoiding you guys, avoiding this community, because I associated it a lot with pain. So it's been a nice healing adventure to be reconnected with you today. So realizing that I was anxious this morning, I was in getting ready before Denise got up, because I got up early because I wanted to get prepared. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking at her deodorant and my deodorant. I know, kind of weird, but mine is the organic, because I'm that organic kind of gal. And I look at hers, it says it's extra strength, clinically proven. I'm like, if it's a little bit low, it's because of me, okay? All right. So here we are, game day. The light and teacher in me sees the light and teacher in you. I have been practicing yoga for many, many years, and the teachers say that in the beginning of the practice and at the end of the practice, and I've heard it thousands of times. And before I was getting ready to come present, it's like this weird little synaptic connection. It's like, the light and teacher in me sees the light and teacher in you. Yeah, kind of delayed synaptic response, but I want to thank you for that connection. It's humbling to be here today. And there's some irony at play here. The young man and the couple that have touched so many of our lives, George, Allison, and Stockton, today is his birthday. And Allison let me know that when I was preparing for this. And she said he's going to be there with you today, and he has been an inspiration to all of us as I look out. And whenever I say George and Allison Stockton, you guys, yeah, we know them. And I think about the depth and the broad spectrum of them and how they have affected so many of our lives. I intentionally was going to put them at the end of my speech so I wouldn't do this, but this is an important day to celebrate a young man, a beautiful young man who left his life way too early. So today marks a day that his standingforstockton.com started today. It's a scholarship fund for those, so his legend can continue to help others. So be mindful of that, share that, and let's keep that going. After hearing such powerful speakers yesterday, I actually did an addendum to my talk today, because something that Nathan and Wendy so directly and poignantly pointed out is we're all suffering from PTSD. Right? You said that in your presentation for the training for QPR. I'm like, I'm speaking about trauma, and I'm talking all around it and how it exists and what we do, and I never really said the diagnosis PTSD. So I thank you for going, hey, hello, put that in your talk blatantly. So when we talk about PTSD, it is associated originally after the Vietnam War vets came back. And they were noticing, all these triggers, and they were experiencing awful symptoms of anxiety and depression and reactivity. So these soldiers, and as I look out amongst you, you're all soldiers. And I swear to goodness, I heard in the background, onward Christian soldiers. I'm like, wow, this is kind of interesting. But let me tell you the actual definition of PTSD diagnostically. It's to experience something beyond the norm of human experience. You got that? Beyond the norm of human experience. It's not normal to have parents reject their children. Would you guys all agree that that's beyond the norm of human experience? To have your church, your community, your families reject you, that's not really too normal, right? So, what I wish was in the diagnostic manual is this. No one would ever ask for trauma. Right? It's not like ordering up, hey, can I have trauma with a side of fries? Nobody cognitively, mindfully says, I want trauma to occur in my life. And that's key in my talk today. So, here's why it's tricky when we look at trauma. Because we all associate trauma with the big trauma. We call it, as a therapist, we call it the big T's, big trauma. Car crashes, sexual abuse, Vietnam War vets coming back, right? And so what is so subtle are the little T's, right? So here's the little T's. Rejection, not being seen or valued for who you are, right? And those do add up. So if we were to equate a big trauma to a boulder, okay, here's a big boulder, a car crash, okay? We say, oh, that's obvious. As a therapist, yeah, we need to attend to that, right? It's obvious. But let's say that we have this backpack, and every single day, a stone. Yeah, no big deal, right? Just put a stone in your backpack. But think about the magnitude of every single day a stone going in that backpack. Could it actually get to the point where it could outweigh a big T, big trauma? What do you guys think? Yeah, but it's subtle. So when you go in and you're treating people, they often minimize. They often just say, well, I didn't have a car crash, or I wasn't sexually abused, right? So then we have a hard time addressing that level of trauma. So the amygdala, I'm going to be talking a lot about that. I'm not talking dirty. It's just the part of the brain that gets really, really excited when you perceive danger. Now think about the diagnosis of PTSD. It's the why people react to PTSD, anything that kind of looks like the original trauma, because the brain, I think it's really quite clever. It says, I don't ever want to be hurt again like that ever again. Pretty smart, right? But what if we always kind of think that everything is potentially, a pain or hurt? Okay, call a foul on myself, old college basketball player, foul on myself, saying, I saw you guys all as potentially hurting me. That's why I'm like, I don't want to go there. Are you kidding me? Yeah, they could hurt me, right? So my job was to override the amygdala, use my prefrontal cortex to say, I'm going to step towards you. Hey, Nathan's not such a bad guy, right? Lori, you're actually pretty safe, aren't you, right? Won't bite too hard, right? So that's an important part of this whole process. Okay, so I'm going to hopefully lay down some concepts that make sense to you. I'm going to lay down these concepts, and then come back and interweave some of my story so that you can kind of see how they played out in my life personally. And of course, I'm going to ask for some help from all of you. So we need to find out the variables that hurt us, and more importantly, the variables that help us. So the whole goal is the light and teacher in me can connect and heal with the light and teacher in you. Is my anxiety coming down a little bit? Okay. Speaking of teachers, I have been so blessed to have literally the best professors to teach me how to be a clinician. I worked at Children's Hospital for, 15 plus years, learning from the best of the best. Let me tell you why they're the best of the best. They'll call you out on anything, right? They'll let you know if you're off track. They'll let you know if you're doing something wrong. They will tell you, they can sniff out if you're insincere this much at 50 paces. So, I'll tell you a little story. I was working with this little, I think she's about 4 or 5 year old, and I'm doing some play therapy with her, and I think we're doing such a really great job, and she just stops, and she looks at me, and she goes, "Man, you're old." And this was like about 10 years ago, you guys. So I'm like, So, I kept my wits about me, and I said, "Hey, well, how old do you think I am?" That's the whole therapist thing, deflect, right? And she goes, "Oh, man, you're old. You've got to at least be 20. Yeah. So that's a fun perspective, but, she called me out. So when I meet any client of any age, here's my format. I let them know when they come in. Well, first of all, I say, you get to come into my office and you get to interview me for the job. When trauma, since we've already established we have no control, we wouldn't ask for it, I want them to have a sense of control from the beginning. Okay? So you get to come into my office, you get to interview me for the job. And they're like, "Oh, okay." I actually had a pretty good rate. People go, "Oh, that feels pretty good." The second thing I do, when they come into my office, I look at them with complete sincerity and say, "I am completely astounded that you're here." Because when people come into your office, you know and they know they are choosing to talk about very difficult things. So I always tease, like, "Oh man, I could steal a couple of Michael Phelps gold medals. I would, and I'd put it right around your neck for the courage that you're mindfully choosing to be here today." The third thing that I do that I feel is just the crux of good therapy is having them become the professor. There's an interesting book, I don't know if any of you have read it, Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, and he proposes that 10,000 hours makes you an expert at anything, right? You guys have heard that concept before? So that's equivalent to 1.4 years. So the reality, people come into my office, they're all experts, aren't they? Because they've got way above and beyond the 10,000 hour, right? So if I let them know that they are the expert, they get to teach me, then we get to kind of look at the choices that they have to hopefully get better outcomes in their life. Okay. So, the use of metaphors. Not too many people can say they can buy toys and have it as an office write-off, right? I have some farting clay, yep. I have some armor, I have some things. So I get to have that as an office write-off. The power of a metaphor. It helps calm the amygdala down, right? It's really quite nice because our brain doesn't have to search for meaning if we already know it. So if I say to a client, "Oh, we need to figure out the function of that behavior," they're like, "What the hell does that mean?" Right? So, can we swear? Okay. So they want and they're craving to know how they can make sense of things. So when you understand something from what you already understand, that's why I love metaphors. The brain can calm down. Now, this isn't important. This is a basic fundamental rule in psychology, a function of the behavior. What purpose does it serve? And it can be tricky, because if I'm kind of coming at you like this, you're going to see me as aggressive, but probably underneath, I've got a lot of hurt, right? So sometimes that looks completely different than what's going on in here. Okay, so the goal, calm this part of the brain down. There's only 3 choices. And not a very smart part of our brain, to be quite honest. It's very primitive. Back when we needed to survive, where's my food going to be? Where am I going to sleep so I don't freeze to death, right? It makes sense that I have to survive. So, evolved part of our brain, prefrontal cortex, super duper smart. 3 choices, fight, flight, or freeze. This part of our brain, lots and lots of different choices. What changed my career was understanding the concept that I learned in, which I think is literally the best type of therapy working with trauma clients, is EMDR. It stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. Anybody heard of that before? Oh, I'm so happy. So the basic rule of that, when I was at Children's Hospital, it was all cognitive behavioral, right? We'd work with people, and what the goal is to have the kids not blame themselves, right? So you want them to say, I know the abuse was not my fault. And we go, oh my gosh, I'm such a good therapist. They're doing so great, kind of narcissistic. But here's the sad part about it. I was noticing, because I was a researcher before I became a clinician, they would come back into my office. Their choices, their behaviors, the way they saw themselves, the way they saw the world, didn't mean they believed that it was not their fault. Does that make sense? You can know something. I know it's not my fault, but if we don't believe it, that's going to mess us up forever. Now, let me tell you the basis of this. The fundamental issue that happens here is when we take on things that cannot belong to us. If that's the one thing that I can convey to you today, it will mess up our lives when we take on things that cannot belong to us. Did I stress that enough? Okay. So when I work with kids, they love to do Play-Doh. The cleaning ladies at our office hate it because, there's clay, and so I always put down a big, picnic mat. So I try to intentionally get the smallest piece of clay I possibly can, like a speck. You can hardly see it. And I go, this is how, you don't even have this much blame. They go, nine. I go, 0. So it kind of helps these kids who are in the concrete operational phase of development. 0 responsibility. So I actually considered not being a therapist. I know. I love what I do, but I wanted the outcomes, and I didn't see people getting the outcomes that they deserved. So I took it personal. That's when I got trained in the type of therapy EMDR. And the reason I love it, and I went and I got the best training I possibly could from this woman named Susan Brown. We call her, no offense, Susan Brown, I hope you don't listen to this, but she's kind of the Hitler of all supervisors, because she's like, you have to know what you're doing. Right? I mean, it's like, and I remember go into the supervision, it's like, I should have used your deodorant, because she was really, really kind of scary, because if you weren't on your game, you didn't know your stuff, she would not pass you, and she would not certify you as an EMDR therapist. So I'm grateful for that, because maybe I was using my amygdala too much, wasn't I? So, but what she taught us, so she asked us this, and I'm going to ask you the same thing. There's 3 goals that we want to help with our clients. So she said, what needs to be resolved first? Safety, choice, or responsibility? So we're all looking at each other like, who's going to answer first, right? So we all unanimously raised our hand and says, it's got to be safety, right? It makes sense. You have to feel safe. You have to have your clients feel safe enough so that they can resolve their trauma. And of course, wrong. Susan Brown says, no, you're absolutely wrong. And this changed my professional life. If you cannot resolve that piece of responsibility, trauma will continue to exist. I call it the spin cycle, or I often refer to it as the hamster on the hamster wheel that just doesn't get anywhere. It's sure working hard, and we see people with anxiety and depression. You can't tell me they're not working hard, right? But they're not going anywhere. And that's what I so craved, to have my clients to get off the hamster wheel and go live life. So, thank you, Susan Brown, for helping me understand that concept. So I am still a therapist. And that's why I am still a therapist, because I am seeing outcomes. And so I don't want to bore you with the whole thing about function, of behavior, and all that. But please do know I want you to be able to identify. This is why all my silly analogies, I think the sillier, the more that we can get that brain to calm down. I'm going to help you guys get the information to this part of the brain, right? So in honor of all the little professors that taught me how to be present, how to be genuine, how to be sincere, and help them find, true healing, I need a volunteer. And I know Grayson is out there. Grayson, where are you? Grayson, yes, he said that he would come in. However you can make it up here. Thank you, Grayson. I appreciate your courage to come up here today. Do you mind if I have your glasses? He's so trusting, huh? Yeah, okay. Okay, so
bad one.
Big question. Have you ever been to an optometrist before?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me or should I get closer? Is that okay? I'll go like this.
Okay.
You have been to, no big surprise, because that's why I chose him. He had glasses, right? What is the goal of the optometrist when you go? What do you think?
To make sure that you can see well and that you have whatever tools you need in order to do that if your built-in ones don't let you do that.
I swear I didn't plant this, right? It's impressive. Thank you. Thank you. The goal is to be able to see as clearly as possible, okay? Mm-hmm. So could I be your optometrist today?
Metaphorically speaking?
Metaphorically, yeah. So you've all had that thing where they kind of go like this, and they put that thing in front of you with all those like clicker.
Number 1 or number 2?
Yes.
All the difference.
Well, it's not a plant. Okay, this is great. Okay, so let's say I put that in there, and I say, I click, better 1, better 2, Grayson, and you honestly tell me,
I don't know.
So say you know that 1 is better than the other, and you say...
Number 2?
Number 2, right? Number 2. What if I don't believe him? Because I have a different agenda, right? I want him to see the way I see, because my life, the way I live my life is so good. It's so much better. I promise you, my prescription is so good for you. I promise you. So I'm not going to believe that you said 2. I'm going to say 1's better. And I keep clicking and clicking and clicking. And since he's such a nice, okay, all right. So he kind of goes, so by the time it's all over, I'm going to say, okay, Grayson, here's your prescription. So go ahead and put those on and tell me if they work.
Very good.
Whose prescription is that? Is it yours?
Yours.
Yeah, it's not yours. So this is it. Not his pair of glasses, not his prescription. True? Okay. So thank you, Grayson. I'll let you have these.
You would want to wear mine either because they tend to give people a headache since they're
lopsided. But do they work for you?
Yep.
They work for you.
Because I'm lopsided.
You are perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you. Right. Okay. So, what's at play here?
In a good way.
Yeah. What's at play here is it's my ego. I want him to see what I want him to see. I want him to wear my glasses. So when they're not really my glasses, but so when I look at him, he has the same glasses as I do. It's like, oh, yay, cool, right? That's my ego saying, oh, we got the same glasses. Isn't this cool? This is fantastic. So what's at play here? What do you think are some of the things that are happening in this relationship? Yes?
Well, the first thing that came to my mind was it reminded me of my parents, because they've always told me that the purpose of life is to be miserable, like that you have to follow what the gospel prescribes, like a prescription, and the purpose of your life is to endure to the end and just be miserable and not enjoy life and just like suffer until, and then when you die, you'll go to heaven and everything will be great if you use our prescription.
Did you guys hear that?
That's what it came to my mind.
That was, right? That was, raise your hand if you thought that was brilliant. Brilliant observation, Cordelia. Thank you so much for identifying that, because they're saying, come on, Cordelia, just wear our glasses. You'll be happy. But what is the quality of life? Grayson, if you were expected to wear those glasses for the rest of your life, would that affect the quality of your life? Yeah. What would be the effect of you wearing the wrong prescription?
That would make it much harder to do everything that I do.
Oh, just everything you do. Okay, right? Did you guys hear that? Just everything I do, the way I see myself, the world, my choices. Okay? So that was really helpful. Thanks, you guys. We're born with no glasses. We're born with really, really good eyesight because we do know how we feel and we do know what we need. Let's look at, so we're going to call those the clicks, the optometrist clicks. They can go in a really positive direction. Let's talk about the positive direction from birth. A baby cries. A parent is attentive. What's going on? How can I help? Oh, it's your diaper. Okay. So that's pretty much a reflection of a parent believing a child. Would you guys agree with that? Yeah? They're attentive. I believe you. I believe what you need. So that would be clicking in the positive direction. I believe you. Click goes in the positive direction. Now let's examine when the clicks go in a negative direction. Okay? When a baby cries, they don't attend. Yeesh, that's going in a bad direction from the beginning. How about something that I've observed when I had my child when she was growing up? I'd go to the park, and I saw this kid. He was on his trike, and he crashes and he burns, and he's kind of skinned up, and he's just this little guy. The parent scoops him up and says, don't cry, you're not hurt, And I'm like, yeah, he is, right? And so those things really do matter. You're not hurt, don't cry. So I'd say that's clicking in the negative direction. Let's think about the complexity of clicking in a negative direction for gender, right? What do we hear? Boys don't cry, right? Girls don't play with trucks. Girls act like this, boys act like that. And look at the complexity for gender.
Deb,
yeah.
You're absolutely right. I saw that clearly at age 5.
What did you acknowledge and feel and see?
I put their glasses on, but I knew who I was.
That's pretty huge. The resilience that you must have had. That just really, resilience at age 5? What do you guys think are the likelihood? That was really powerful. At age 5, to say, no, those don't belong to me. What do you guys think? What do you think of the odds of a 5-year-old having that level of resilience? Thank you. Somebody did this. Yeah, 0. Thank you for sharing that, Lori. Okay, so this helped me as a clinician to understand about family rules. One of my favorite family therapists who we study, his name is Salvador Minuchin, not as just a fun name to say, but he was actually quite bright. He warned us clinicians to look at the family rules because they have so much power in them, and often they're a toxic power. This is a quote from Salvador Minuchin that I have used at a cornerstone of my practice in working with families. Over many years, family rules get an aura of rightness, but it doesn't make them right. Right? And it's often very, very hard to get families to move away from those family rules. That's just the way it is. This is the way we are. This is our prescription. This is how we're going to do it, right? So it's, you can see that there's a lot of religious connection to that. There's a loyalty. And I often say, loyalty, when we say the word loyalty, it usually lights up like, it's such a great thing. But if we are loyal to something that is not healthy, not good, what shape does that take? Spiral down, right? Okay. I'm just going to quickly ask, what are some of the negative clicks that the LGBTQ community has heard? What maybe you could say for your own life as a person, as a parent. Does anybody have any things that they've personally? Yeah.
I think it's not something you are, it's something you have. Because that makes it feel like something you can compartmentalize and shut off.
That's a really important thing, is I need to shut off from how I really feel. I appreciate
It's not really me, it's just a struggle that I have. It can be overcome. I try hard enough.
Right? It's all that whole thing. Just be faithful enough. Just work hard enough. And then your prescription will magically clear up and you'll see what we see. Whew. Set up, right? Yeah, Sarah.
It's not normal what you're going through. Exactly. Pray to Him. Let God take this from you. It's not normal for you to be fine.
You're not normal. You're broken. There's something wrong with you. Oh, we got to get you in therapy.
My ability and style of love is counterfeit.
Okay, it's not legitimate. It's not real, right? Yeah, anybody else? Okay. So, yeah.
I was just saying, how about you are making me feel uncomfortable?
Anybody heard that? Yeah. So the ego says, that's why I want to have you wear my glasses. So I'm so much more comfortable. You got my glasses. Oh, we're like twinsies. Yay, right? So, yeah, I feel good now that you're doing what I do. You're wearing what I wear. You're doing, right? So it's a good one, right? So now I get to go to, yes.
I just thought another one. I don't want to move on, but I heard people say, it must be really sad for you, and then you're not going to have your son in heaven.
Whoa, did you guys all hear that? Wendy, that must be so sad that your son won't be in heaven with you. Ouch. Yes.
That's what my parents told me.
Yeah.
You know, we're sealed to you in the temple, and we're sad you're not going to be with us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
yeah.
Really?
That plan of salvation. Maybe I'll say this right now. It seems to be appropriate to have this put at the end of my talk, but it seems so fitting, and I appreciate the two of you bringing that up. That's a really major negative click in such an extreme, click direction, because that's trying to get you to put the effing pair of glasses back on, for Pete's sake, and see what so then you can be part of the club, right? I hear this over and over in my practice from the LGBTQ Mormon youth. Deb, I will not be in eternity with my family. Ironically, just not too long ago, we had my mom come down. She stayed in San Diego. I dutifully flew her up to the Bay Area to let Denise take care of my mom. And she knows that I took my name off the church record after 2015. I wasn't going to say that, but I did. So the first thing she said to me after I got off the plane, I took her to lunch at the corner bakery, because I know she loves it. And the first thing she said, I put the food down, and she goes, do you say disparaging things about the Mormon church? Hey, welcome to San Diego. So I sat down. Well, I chose to try to keep my amygdala so okay, let's access my prefrontal cortex. Mom, I am so grateful that you chose to talk to me directly. I'm so glad that you're telling me about the concerns that you have. She said, you're not going to be with us, family, for all eternity. And I'm so grateful that something happened. I'm so glad that I've had people like you click me in the other direction. I've had optometrists in my life click that direction so I could see clearly. And I looked at my mom clearly. And I hadn't never told anybody this story. How about that? Okay, so I looked at her clearly in her eyes and I said, Mom, I know if I die tomorrow, I will be okay. Because I'm going to tell you what I tell all the LGBTQ beautiful, beautiful people in my office. I ask them one thing. I say, do you reject any group of people? What do you think they say? I've had 100%, that's a pretty good stat from a researcher's standpoint. 100% of them say no. So you know what I say? Well, wherever you go, that's where I want to be. And to me, that seems like the most amazing heaven on the planet, right? Ever. So that's where I want to be. And I was able to say that to my mom, which was very healing for me to be able to say, I guess you can come visit us, I guess that's so. Okay, thanks for letting me share that with you, and I appreciate you bringing that whole thing up. I think, unfortunately, and I hope this doesn't offend anybody, that it's highly manipulative to use those types of clicks in that way, to say you do not see what you see. You do not have that prescription. It just is not fitting because it doesn't fit what we see. Now, I can see that we don't want to see them as their intent is malice, right? I don't see malice in them wishing we could see. How many of you wish you could see what they could see and honestly have it be what you could see? It would have saved my life a lot of trouble and time and pain, right? If I could have just said, oh, those glasses work for me, so good to go. I'm married in the temple. I'll have, 5 kids, and because I love kids, that would have really worked for me, right? But it wasn't my prescription. Oh, okay, so now we get to, are we okay going to the next fun metaphor? Who would like to help me with that next metaphor? Sarah, come on up here. Would you want to, can you see Sarah if we put right here? Okay. Now, let's say I have a horrible, awful cold, horrible, phlegmy, snotty, gross, and my goal is to just really make this the most awful, disgusting thing that you can imagine, right? Okay, so let's say I sneeze. Okay. Good sound effects too, huh? Okay. So check it out. Blow my nose in this tissue. Okay? So I go, there, Sarah, there. Are you compelled to pick that up?
No.
She doesn't want to pick it up, okay? But what do dutiful, loyal people, I've done this in my office before, and I just go, hey, and I throw it down, and they go, oh, here, let me get that for you, I'll do it. And it's just so telling to see how much they've been ingrained to say, well, okay, I'll pick up your crap. I'll pick that up for you, all right? So let me ask you, Sarah, why did you not want to pick this up? Come on.
I'm okay without it. It's pretty disgusting. Thank you.
It's pretty disgusting, okay? Yeah. Whose tissue is this?
It's yours.
It's mine. It's mine. She's very clear about that. I like her confidence. Deb, I know that this is your stuff. Your phlegm, your snot, your gross, your garbage, right? So when I throw it down, she just, I don't want that. Oh, could you imagine? If we were all able to see, that's why I did the glasses first, see that so clearly that I go, that ain't mine. She had some good glasses on. She could see it. She could say, that ain't mine. Let me just ask you hypothetically. We'll go back to pretending like, okay, I'll pick it up. Okay, right?
Okay, I'll pick it up.
Okay, I'll pick it up. How would that affect your life, holding my garbage?
Well, now I've got my own garbage and yours, and I've got plenty of garbage to take care of.
There we go. Okay. Would that affect your quality of life?
Yes.
Okay. Here's the irony to this. When we pick up other stuff, going back to the original reason why I'm here, when we pick up somebody else's responsibility, and she said clearly, that's yours, Deb, that's yours, right? So if she doesn't pick it up, I'm like, damn, she's not going to pick up my stuff, right? I noticed it. So I'm thinking, well, I guess I need to be responsible for my stuff. And here's where it becomes so complex. Is people say, I know the abuse was not my fault. I know that my parents were wrong. I know what my prescription is, right? We know that, right? But it's so hard. Like when my mom said, you're not going to be with us. Like, oh man, right? Here I am holding this. I'm not going to be with the family forever. And then I wonder why I feel so awful, because I'm holding some interesting stuff here, right? So here's where it actually does us both a favor. When Sarah beautifully, mindfully, and compassionately says, Deb, I know that's yours. That's my process. That's my opportunity to learn how to deal with my stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So many people say, I know that's not my stuff, and I'm going to give that back to you. Here, you can actually hand that back to me. Say, Deb, I know that's yours.
It's not mine, it's yours.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you.
But so many people are worried. There's well, Deb, what if they don't pick it up? Right? So here's what I say. So that means that you should pick it back up? Right? If we keep everybody just says, I'm not going to pick up anybody's dirty, snotty tissues, right? Think about that. I'm going to have to walk around it. I'm going to see it. I'm always going to, even if I'm not picking it up, I'm aware it's still there. And it's something that my sister has really motivated me in leaders. We're traumatized by the fact that they've talked to the LGBT community, right? And they've said things that are beyond painful, right? Mm-hmm. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah.
So she does this restorative justice in her line of work. She works for the Ninth Circuit Court. I know. She's a tough act to follow, you guys, this smart kid. So giving back what belongs to whom. And just because people don't pick it up at that time, Sarah's actually giving me a gift. Right? Okay, that sounds kind of weird. She's giving me a gift to eventually, hopefully, have the opportunity to pick up my own stuff and deal with that. Now, that's what we're all hoping the church leaders will do, right? To pick up this son of a gun. We have really, really hurt this community, haven't we? Mm-hmm. Haven't seen it quite yet, have we? Oh. Thank you, Sarah, for dealing with the gross, disgusting.
Go wash your hands.
Right? Oh, gosh. Okay. So obviously working with kids, I really wanted to find a way to get them to understand what does serve them and what is in their best interest and what doesn't serve them, what is not in their best interest. And it's a tough thing to kind of try to get them to understand these type of things. Defense mechanisms. What's the purpose of a defense mechanism? Anybody want to just shout out what?
Yeah, protect ourselves.
Yes. Swear to God, I have a cue card up here. You guys are saying exactly what you're supposed to say. Thank you. Yeah, to protect us. So does that actually have a good meaning when you're hurt? Right? I need to protect myself. Okay, so I often use the metaphor of a night. Oh, kids love that. Nights are cool. Nights are fantastic. Nights are, I think I'm going to move this. Right? Yeah. So when you see people shutting down, reacting, acting out, experiencing anxiety, shame, self-blame, withdrawing, oh, they're pretty darn armed, aren't they? And they've got a lot of armor going on. And I'm going to talk about the different types of armor and the purpose they serve. So yes, I need another volunteer. Oh, Tom, Montgomery, did you just raise your hand there? Did I see that correctly? Come on up here.
See what we want to see.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, there's this interesting person. She's a relational cultural theorist. Her name is Linda Hartling. And Brene Brown often refers to her work with shame shields. Have you guys heard about that, the shame shields? And it's really fascinating that the purpose that we think they serve really actually goes against us. But the idea of protecting, like I said, kids are like, this is so cool, we're going to talk about nights, this is great, we're going to arm ourselves, and then we need to kind of try to deconstruct like, wow, is it really serving us well? So, I'm going to ask Tom to hold moving away shield. Doesn't he look handsome? Yeah. Looks like he could be in Gladiator, huh? Wendy's getting a little excited over there. Right? Okay, moving away. This is the moving away shield. And this is really about hiding, withdrawing, silencing ourselves, keeping secrets. LGBTQ community, ever do any of that? What do you think? Just name one way that the LGBTQ community uses this shield. Anybody? Tom, you know?
If you've been hurt by your family, you move away from your family.
There we go. Absolutely. So we hide ourselves. We try to keep secrets. I really hid myself when I was gay. I just really wanted to not look gay. My big goal, don't look gay. Don't look gay. Just look pretty, don't look gay. And nobody will notice that I'm gay, right? So that's kind of how I hid myself. Okay. Now we've got the moving toward. Okay, put your arms out.
Not my size.
Oh, he's too big, right? Okay, there we go. Settle down, Wendy. Oh, look at that.
All right.
Okay, now I got.
We made it fit.
Yeah, moving toward is I'm moving toward. So move toward me, Tom. Say, hi, Deb. Oh, you look so pretty, Deb. Right? Oh, he didn't say it.
Sorry. Hi.
Yeah. So he's moving toward me, and he wants to appease me. What would be some things that an LGBTQ member say to appease me?
Put on your glasses.
Right?
Yeah.
See what I see? Right? And I'm doing what you're doing. I'm good. I'll have the faith. I'll read the scripture. I'll do everything that I need to do to belong. Right? So, very well done. Appreciate that. Okay. The next one, right now we've got some intensity. Check this out. Should we have him put this on? Oh, yeah. Okay, you got that. You got the gist, right?
Hey, picture.
Okay.
And then send it to me.
Right? Oh boy. Photo op with the gladiator.
We were getting along so well.
Okay. Moving against. This is when I'm like, are you saying disparaging things about the Mormon church? Because I know you have, right? It's gotten me in my life the most misunderstood, right? But there's this thing called justifiable anger. We get so wrapped up in, don't be angry, right? Oh, come on, Tom, put your sword down. Don't be angry. Come on. Do we have a right to be angry? Absolutely. And I don't want us to lose sight of the opportunity to be angry when people throw down snotty tissues or they say that's the wrong prescription. So we have a right to be angry, but without the shields, without this, we can do this. And that's when we are authentically, because that's going to really get us misunderstood. So if I'm coming at you with these swords, or if Tom's coming at me, I mean, he's more like taking the part, I will move away. I won't understand you. I will disconnect. And he's not very connected because look at how shielded, how armed he is. Hard to access how he feels, what he needs in this process. I had a kid who was totally into Nike because he thought it was so cool. I said, go home and Google how much armor weighs. Any guesses how much full armor might weigh?
80 pounds.
How did you know that? Son of a beehive, Good one, yeah. They said 80, and if you get some of the other stuff, up to 100. Okay, so question, Tom. If you were full armor, and you're thinking, okay, this is so smart. I'm always armed. I'm always protected, right? It could be seductive to believe that, right? Always protected, 24/7. Okay, so imagine that, full armed. I'm so smart. I'm going to stay completely in my armor because then I won't ever get hurt, right? But tell me the downside to be fully armed 24/7.
You're exhausted and you have very limited mobility.
Did you hear that? Exhausted, limited mobility.
At all.
Say it again.
And you're not authentic at all.
Woo, yes.
You can't let anybody in.
Ah, yes. Yes, Grayson.
And also, there's no armor that can really defend you perfectly. Like even, if you're wearing full plate, there's still, if you take a mace or something that's designed against
Yes.
armor, that can, and so, any armor that you have, there will still be something that can hurt you. And so ultimately, it's not possible to protect yourself all the way.
Well, it's, according to the knight, if I wear my armor all the time, then I'm ready, right? Yes.
No, you can't let yourself out.
That's great. So how do we convince this knight that it's okay to take off his armor? I mean, that's tough. If he's totally believing that this is serving me a purpose, how do we help him?
Change his prescription.
That's a great idea. So he could see, would he look out and say, okay, I guess you guys are all pretty safe. I think I could maybe leave my sword down, right? So what would be our community effort to demonstrate to Tom? What could we do?
Listen to his story.
I'm sorry, I missed it.
Listen to his story.
Yes. Oh, yes. Thank you back there. Listen to his story. Yeah. I'm curious that you've got your sword out, you've got your shield up, you've got to tell me about that. Would that be helpful in disarming you?
Yeah, because it tells you the story of how you can exist without the weapons or the armor.
Nicely done. Yes.
Once we listen to his story, we honor who he is. Allow him to be himself.
Yes, especially when you accept it and believe it, that click. So you guys become like these really cool optometrists where we're going to believe you, Tom. Click. You're great, Tom. Click. Oh, you have a right to be valued. Click, click, click. Yeah.
I think we also need to check our own armor. Do we have it on too?
Yeah.
Can we, have we let our armor down?
Nicely, because if we're both armed, it's yeah, and if you have that thing, can we see each other? Can we access? Right? Nice. Great observation.
I think it's also important that as an individual, as I have done myself, there's that healing and that growth and doing my own work, taking off the armor slowly, trust in myself, and not owning everybody else's stuff.
Yes, yes. Wow, you guys are quick learners. All right. Okay, so the goal is to help Tom get out of that amygdala, to get to this part of the brain that says, now, we all have bullies in our brain. And they'll say, you have to wear this armor. Damn it, Tom, if you don't, you're going to get hurt, right? There's the bully, and that's the bully. The amygdala is a really big bully. So I ask kids often, the purpose of that fight, flight, or freeze is protection. You guys all got that, right? So I said to this 9-year-old kid the other day, I said, hey, when do we really, I added a lot of reallys to get my point, really need to use that part of our brain. So he sat there, and he said, I guess if a lion escaped from the zoo and was chasing me, I go, yes, yes. Then he says, well, I guess if I'm hiking up a mountain and there's an earthquake and the mountainside starts caving, I go, yes. So he started giving all these things, and then I looked him straight in the eye, and I said, how often have those things happened? And he goes, well, never. But you could see that he had defended himself, he perceived the world like, oh man, who knows if that lion's going to escape from the zoo, right? So I often have a bit of a little joke with kids, I said, that was actually created in primitive times. Saber-toothed tiger coming at you. You would want to use your sword. You want to use your protection, right?
Yeah.
Should I run? Should I try to kill the saber-toothed tiger? Maybe I could eat the saber-toothed tiger, right? So I ask kids, I go, look around. Saber-toothed tiger? Anywhere? No. And I actually try to get them in a fun way. Is this a saber-toothed tiger moment? No. Because you hear people, even Tom's age, I'm older than Tom, even my age and older. Oh, it was devastating. It was horrible. It was awful. I was terrified. I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened? This guy at work didn't say hi to me. I go, oh. I mean, I believe them, but I go, I want them to be able to have it fit for what is it. We really need to be using that part of our brain when the guy at work doesn't say hi to me? It does feel awful, but right? So the pros and cons, you guys have got it. There's some pros. Now, I say to people all the time, I honor your armor. I respect that you have it. It definitely has served a purpose, but I don't think it's serving the purpose that you think it is. Now, can this part of the brain tell when there is a real battle? Right? Real saber-toothed tiger, real battle, right? I say, don't let the bully make that decision for you because it's really not the smartest part of our brain. Right? It's not. It's just really not. So this part of our brain is super duper smart. That's why I say saber-toothed tiger. Nope. I'm smart enough to see that there's not a saber-toothed tiger in the room, right? So when you look, and I admit I needed to use a little bit of my therapy on myself. Saber-toothed tigers? No. I listen to you. I learn from you. I talk to Nathan. He's not a saber-toothed tiger. Wow. He's kind of cool. He's kind of nice. I don't need to defend myself from you. So my armor's off. So let's encourage Thomas to take his armor off, right? Thank you, Tom. You can borrow it later if you want. Thank you. Okay, all right. Okay, so to kind of give another little example of how important identification of feelings are when you are not armed is I had another little kid in my office. She was I think she was about 5, and she was obsessed with the fact that I had a cat. And every week she'd come in and she'd, Deb, can I see a picture of your cat Chili? And I said, sure. Ritual. Show her the picture of my cat Chili, and then we'd do our work. One day we're doing our work, and she looks up at me and she says, Deb, you would feel so sad if something happened to Chili. And I said, yeah, I really, really would. And she, well, that's how you're supposed to feel when something sad happens. Right? What a professor, right? I ended up paying her for the session, right? Pretty humbling. You're right. Thank you for back there saying about that authenticity. It's often scary to be authentic because we're so afraid of that rejection. The old college basketball player in me, that it does come in handy sometimes, even though my knees are cruddy. Now I can't really, my vertical jump is now, but what I value is the ability to call a foul when a foul occurs, right? Talking basketball yesterday to the Montgomerys, they like basketball too. So it's important. So if I were playing in a basketball game, and Lori, you're the referee at the game, right? So she's got the whistle, I'm playing the game, and I commit a foul. And Lori, yeah, she tweets, no, but not yet. Oh, look at her. Not on cue yet. Okay, so I commit a foul, and this is Lori. Lori. Oh my God! Could have another volunteer? No. So this is the kind part of Lori. The kind part of Lori, right? So she says, Deb may be having a bad day. I'm not going to call a foul on her. Okay, I'm just not going to call a foul. Okay, so she lets it go. She lets that one go. Then I commit another foul. She goes, maybe Deb had a bad childhood. Right? So she lets that one go. And then so she thinks she's doing me a favor by not calling the foul on me. Okay, now you can call tweet. There we go. Ironically, her calling a foul on me is a gift. Because she's saying she wants me to know how to play the game fair and safe and right. Our church leaders don't know how to play the game fair, safe, and right. And I'm calling on you without the armor, we have the ability to have that justified anger, and we can call out the fouls. Because what? We all have not a bad pair of glasses on, right? We can see the fouls when they occur. So just remember, calling a foul is an act of love. We want to have people have the opportunity to play the game fair and safe and right. Okay, now that I've laid the groundwork for how the overt and the covert messages that the LGBT community are often faced with, and their families, I'm a systems therapist, it affects everyone. Okay, so I'm going to share a bit of my journey, and we're going to identify some of the ways that the positive clicks that optometrists and some of the negative clicks the optometrists in my life have had. And the shields, right? Did I always know I was gay? Nope. I had no idea. I don't know if it was one of George. You know, George Zeusen, you guys know he always puts out those really beautiful quotes. Might have been one. So George, this might be a thank you. You cannot be what you cannot see. So did I have anybody in Bountiful, Utah to model what a gay person looked like? Or would they even say, there's a gay person in Bountiful? No, right? So I had no idea. I had no clarity of seeing what other ways love came. Everything I was told, I was modeled, and was modeled for me with people who had the straight pair of glasses on, which fit for them, right? It fits. There's no, I can't call a foul on that because that fit for them. So I'm sure you can imagine the coming out process was difficult and painful. Am I doing okay on time? Yes. Or is this a good time to say, oh, sorry, it's over? How are we doing okay?
30 minutes to go.
30 minutes to go. Okay. Okay. So, whose pair of glasses are those anyway? It was fearful because the main thing in my decision tree, we're all doing this at any point in time. If I tell my family, what will happen? And my true belief and knowledge was I will be rejected. Now, I've been told my whole life, family's everything. Family's the best. Family, family forever. Don't make me sing families will be forever, right? But that's what I've been taught. That's what I was told. But there was a part of me that had picked up so many tissues, had so many clicks the opposite direction. I didn't believe that. I just thought, if I am my true authentic self, I will not be accepted. And that was painful to imagine. Because I'm looking at my sister right now and to think, I'm not going to have these people in my life. Oh, so I did the whole, shield, hiding, doing all those interesting things. I did a cost analysis. And the heavy burden of lying to my family outweighed the fear of losing them. I got to that point. So I chose a family therapist in Salt Lake City, Utah. Kind of a little foreshadowing. Maybe that's why I'm a family therapist. Okay. I told my family that I was gay in that setting. I think Denise could probably tell you more what happened, because I don't remember a heck of a lot happened after I told my family I was gay. I just remember this. Sobbed the entire time as people blamed each other. Is that true, Denise? I think I kind of needed to just disconnect from that because it was so freaking scary. So after that, of course, my parents went to their church leaders. And he said, how about you go see a therapist at the LDS Social Services? And then they said, how about Deb come see the church psychologist? And thank goodness at that point in time I said, sure, if that would help you, Mom and Dad, I will do that. I'm grateful I was able to take those pair of glasses off before I went in that office, because I had educated myself about the reality, the facts. I armed myself not with the shields, but with the facts about homosexuality. I could see myself as healthy, not needing to be fixed. So when I walked in the door, I don't need to be fixed. Now, sir, you need to be educated. And I was able to tell him that in 1973, the diagnostic manual removed homosexuality, because it is not a mental disorder. It was actually kind of fun. I was telling Montgomery's last night, it was so fun to say the word homosexual in front of him, because they couldn't handle that back then. They only say same-sex attraction, so I'd say, yeah, I'm homosexual. And had this nervous twitch. And It's like, yeah. So I did it intentionally just to kind of, egg it on a little bit. Okay. I believe that my parents needed to grieve that I wasn't going to be cured. That I couldn't be what they hoped for me to be, and I get that. We want our kids to be happy, and they thought that that would bring me happiness to do what brought them happiness. I couldn't believe that a loving God would condemn a person to a life sentence of loneliness and celibacy. I do believe with my entire heart was the information given to me to be able to go in there was given to me by my heavenly parents. I'm not broken. I deserve to have a life. I deserve to have love and connection, because how do we exist without connecting with others at that level? I appreciate the Weeds sharing that, the romantic love. That was so beautiful. And there's this level of deprivation, isn't there, when you don't have that. That if you put on all this shields and stuff, you can pretend like you're not really that deprived, right? But can we say it? Bullshit. Right? Yeah, okay. So I chose to use my own Liahona. You guys can get that, right? Yeah. I can't use that joke with my non-Mormon friends. What's a Liahona?
It's called the ball of curious workmanship.
I like that. Oh, that's just funny. Oh, okay. So after my parents realized that I guess that this therapist, which is a breach of confidentiality, told my family that I was not going to be cured. So they were instructed to not talk to me.
What age were you?
Oh, thank you for asking. Denise, how old was I? Oh my gosh, 23, 22, 23. Well, I'd come back after I played college, or ball in Europe, right? Didn't I? Okay, so after I finished college, I thank you, Cassandra, for asking that. I think I was about 23 or 24. Yes.
In what year?
Oh, geez, right? Oh. What year? Oh my gosh. Don't ask me to think about that. I do not know. I don't know. But this is what my family was instructed by the church leaders. Do not talk to her. She cannot come to this ward. She has no place. And I thought, well, this is a good time to move. And so that's when I did pack up and I moved to San Diego, where, ironically, I met my soulmate. I met Linda, whom we've been together for 27 years. Here's where I want to tell you how important it is to have at least one really good optometrist in your life and on your team. One of my most amazing optometrists is here today, my sister Denise, who's right here. Denise never left me. She said, be a part of our life. She has 4 beautiful kids that I had the privilege of being a part of their life. She never once rejected me. Now I can't see my nose. Yeah. Okay. All right. There's no snot on this one, right? Yeah. Okay. Oh, she never left me. So I did not have to drift completely into that dark place where many LGBTQ Mormon youth never escape. She talked to my parents. She sent them books. She told them to not blame themselves when church leaders were saying, oh, it's got to be you guys. You had a too intense mom and a passive dad, or, you made her play basketball, so for Pete's sake, that's what made her gay, right? So they increased the level of understanding. She got them to use, yes, their prefrontal cortex. She got them to understand. And something had to have hit home because they called me one day. And they said, we prayed in the temple. And the answer we got is to just love you. Yeah, that made a lot of the tissues fly off me, it really helped. So my parents said, we'd like to fly you and Linda, your partner, out for Christmas. So I'm on the plane. If anybody knows me, I'm not really a crybaby titty mouth, am I, Denise? I'm not, but I'm literally on this plane getting ready to go to Utah, and I'm sobbing, crying like a baby. And my partner, my beautiful partner, says, what's wrong, sweetheart? And I said, I am so happy. I've never been this happy in my life, right? So we went, we connected. It felt like home. I got to be back home with my family. It was real. It was a connectedness. So the extreme high, ironically, ended up in the most extreme low. The day after Christmas, my father, he experienced an aortic aneurysm. Excuse me, just a sec. 2 days later, we needed to make the decision to have the life support machines turned off. I'm so grateful that we had that opportunity to be connected as a full family at that time. I'm grateful that my partner was a part of this because she was instrumental in taking Denise's children and taking care of them while we sat at the hospital. We were truly a family without any boundaries or tissues or stupid prescriptions or shields. We were a family that came together in the worst of all times. So during that time when I was in San Diego, I was doing my graduate work, and I was, yes, closeted, and I had this professor who I just loved. She was just brilliant, and we were studying some of the ways that you can help families in family therapy. And there was this theory called J. Haley's stages of the family life cycle. Okay? And it's you date someone, you marry them, you have children, your child launches into adulthood, and then maybe they'll come back and help you in later life, right? So that's the stages of the life cycle. And I'm sitting there as a gay person looking at that theory, and my only thought is, man, the gay community is really screwed at every level of development, and it sure makes us look pretty messed up. So I decided to go in and talk to my favorite professor. I sat down in her office and I said, I am gay. I'm looking at this theory, Dr. Terry, and it does not serve the gay community well at all. It makes us look pretty messed up. And then I did this. I waited to see if there was going to be an acceptance or a rejection. Well, she was lovely. She was one of my optometrists that said, oh, Deb, thank you for telling me. Thank you for telling me about this. And she said, son of a gun, that theory is awful for the LGBTQ community. She goes, there's your thesis project right there. And she's so lovely. I came back and would present that to the classes, because I'm saying, hey, there's that theory, but it might work for people with those pair of glasses on, but it doesn't work for people with these pair of glasses, right? So anyway, so I was major click. She said, Deb, what's the hardest part? When you look at those stages of development, which is the most difficult for you? And I said, not being able to have children because I'm gay. Because your fault. I fell in love with your kids, and I love kids, and I worked at Children's Hospital, right? Yeah? And I just love kids. And so when I realized I was gay, I'm just like, I'm gay. I can't have kids. And she said, why not? Big statement that had so much meaning. Why can't you have kids? And this is what we sat and talked about in her office for an hour. internalized homophobia. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that before. I was homophobic. It's like, what? Okay, well, I'm not homophobic. Yeah, toward myself. I can't have a life. I don't have the rights to have what everybody else has. So that was really major clicks that I was putting my own funky glasses on myself, and I didn't even know that. So buying into all those negative messages, that's the perfect definition of internalized homophobia, is buying into all those negative messages to the point where they feel like that's the way things are. I surrender. I can't have kids, right? No. So pay gay people to date openly, to have children. We just want to have the same rights, right? Maybe we don't want to have them, but we just want to have the same rights. It's like that bumper sticker. I hope I'm not offending. I saw a bumper sticker years ago that said, if you don't believe in abortion, don't have one. It's like, quite a comment. You don't believe in gay marriage, don't get one? Yes, right? So, to me, it just makes a lot of sense. So, here's, because of that beautiful optometrist, the most wonderful part of that story is I have a child who is the most wonderful, creative, interesting, beautiful daughter on this entire planet that I have learned more. Talk about a professor. Woo! Yeah, there's some major learning curves with kids, right? I'm so grateful that I've had that opportunity to be a mother. There's one more very, very important event that I need to talk about that has had a significant impact on my life, fairly recent. Not quite 3 years ago, my mom fell and broke her ribs. And so Denise and I, we said, yeah, let's go and help my middle sister, Diane. Yes, all 3D names, Denise, Diane, and Deborah. Thought we were going to be, maybe talented and sing like the Osmonds, but no. Anyway, so we said we need to go up and help Diane because she's up there most times. So I flew in first, took care of my mom. Then Denise was going to come in. We're going to do a tag team thing. And my sister, Denise, looks at me and she says, hey, Deb, why don't you delay your flight and let's go march in the gay pride in Salt Lake City? I'm like, no. And I didn't, no. I said, no. I said, no, I don't want to do that. Because you know what? I was still doing that stuff. I was still saying, so I avoided Utah. I didn't want to go to Utah. But what did Utah represent to me? So, but I didn't realize it because I'd done all my work. Well, except that piece, right? So I said, no. I've got clients. I've got too many responsibilities. Then my best friend, who I did go to the University of Utah with, she calls me out of the blue. I go, gosh, get this. My sister wants me to go to the gay pride parade. Like, I thought I was going to get an alliance. Deb, you've got to do it. I go, no, you have to do it. I went to it last year. It is literally the most powerful, amazing parade, I think, in the country. Okay, so I'm like, okay, how many times can I get bapped on the top of the head till I go, okay, I surrender, I'm going to do it. So I said, okay. I changed my flight. I called clients. So Denise, we're going to Michael's. We're going to make some signs. And so I'm still doing this little, I'm doing this little attitude still, like, all right, yeah, okay, let's do it. Not knowing I'm still defended, right? So she comes down, and what did the sign say, Denise? They're pretty powerful.
Our family is forever.
Our family is forever. And I'm still like, yeah, right. And I don't know, but anyway, so we go, we line up with Affirmation, and they're telling these really great stories, and I'm still like this. Yeah, okay, yeah. So, one step on the parade route. I start walking, still being a little bit of a turd. So my sister puts her arm around me. She said, Deb, look up. Look at all the people who are for you. Okay, something happened. I peeked over. I'm going to do a reenactment, okay? I peeked over. I looked up. I saw people cheering. I saw amazing signs of love and compassion. I saw thousands of people who were like, for me. Okay, this started flying off. This started flying off that I thought was already gone, right? All this stuff started flying off me. My steps started getting lighter. I was like, wow, what is this? I looked up and I saw the mountains. I was just, wow, Utah's kind of pretty. Yeah, it's really kind of lovely. I had a lightness that was almost intoxicating that I hadn't, it was like I was seeing Utah for the first time. But, and the people. I guess a knight forgets how heavy the armor can be when they don't know it's there. It's the lightest I've felt in years. And as Denise and I came to the end of the parade route, there was a current. I swear to you, there was a current that was carrying us toward this beautiful couple with their beautiful son. It was a current and energy that is indescribable. It was like I only saw them and they only saw me. All I know is this meeting was not by accident. It was not a fluke. There was too much energy pulling our desperate souls together. We needed each other, and we found each other. I was engulfed by George and Allison's hug that communicated to me, I see you and I'm here for you. And I literally do not think I have ever had a hug like that before in my... You guys ever had a hug from them? Oh, it's real. He did not let go of me. It wasn't that, hey, I'm kind of used to it, but it was powerful. I got to meet them and their beautiful son. I had an awareness of their pain, as I'm sure they had an awareness to mine. I felt a struggle of energy within Stockton's heart. But I saw the free energy, the love and acceptance that they had for their son, and it just helped heal me. They got it. They were living it. They were so beautifully there and attending to their beautiful son. We exchanged numbers, and you know how we exchange numbers, you kind of, yeah, this felt real. I knew we would be friends forever. So, we exchanged numbers. Denise took me directly to the airport. I'm in the plane. I'm just like, oh my gosh, it is pretty down there. Yeah, it's oh, you can see it clearly. So, I don't recall who called me shortly after that, but they called to inform me that Stockton had completed a suicide. Didn't make sense to me. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't make sense of that. I was like, he has everything he needs. Or does he? Well, it wasn't because of the parental acceptance, because he had that. So, as I had sleepless nights, I thought, what can I do? What can I do? Again, put me in the game, coach. I had spent years avoiding the community, and I'm going to say that I needed to help heal me. Okay. There's an irony in there. You avoid exactly what your solution is, right? I was not insulated anymore from the harshness and the reality of teen suicide in the LGBTQ Mormon youth. The event motivated me to get active in the church again. Not going back to the church, but active in the church. I want to keep kids alive. I want all of us to be alive. I want us to connect with the aliveness of connecting. It's lovely to meet people like Cassandra and all of you. Every single one of you has just been major clicks for me. Thank you for being my optometrist the whole freaking weekend. So, I want to quickly say that there is a reality of rejection. I study the brain. I talked to Nathan about we know that rejection hurts, right? We know. But I don't think you understand the biology of rejection. So since I study the brain, I looked up this information, the research about rejection. So they were doing a functional MRI with a bunch of people, and they were told on a screen that, people are going to be passing you a ball, and we're just going to hook up this MRI, and I just want you to pass the ball. They're going to pass you the ball. You're going to pass them the ball. All fabricated, right? Okay, but they don't know that. So pretty soon, they stop passing the ball to these people who have this active. Stop. That little of rejection, right? They're not passing me the ball, right? I think no big whoop. They found that it actually hit the same center of the brain that picks up physical pain. Anterior cingulate, right? So here's the reality. If you were to break your leg, your brain says, son of a bitch, that hurts, right? And it said, oh my God, right? But I need you guys to hear this. Rejection hits the exact same place, that physical pain. So when you hear people say that hurts, you say, damn right it does. It does. So do you understand the impact of rejection? It will physically hurt you and families. So to sum it all up, all right, I'm probably done. Thank you. Click, right? Okay. My hope is for us to go toward the positive optometrists in our lives so we can see clearly the snotty, dirty, gross tissues, so that we can see if we truly need to arm ourselves and choose to not pick them up. When we talk about our stories, shame completely is abolished. It goes away. You have nothing, none of us have anything to be ashamed of. The thing that I said, onward Christian soldiers, you inspire me. I can't tell you how much I appreciate this opportunity. And yes, George and Allison, I know you did this. I did part of this. And Renee, thank you. Think about the positive optometrists in our lives. George and Allison, they do monthly dinners for the LGBTQ community in their neighborhood. I think about my sister Diane, who's not able to be here. She's an educator. She stood up for a trans student in Bountiful, Utah, where other teachers were shaming this child and other parents. She stood up. She was my warrior. Diane, thank you for that. My mom, when I moved to San Diego, of course, they want to know where to send the church records. Well, they were calling my mom. And I never realized she did this because she doesn't say a heck of a lot, but she said, I'm not going to tell you where she is until you accept her.
Ooh,
Yeah. Major clicks in the right direction. Tom and Wendy, the way you parent your son is exemplary. And I told them I had the opportunity. I think one of the big reasons I wanted to come is they didn't know how much they were influencing my life by the way they led their life with their son. Renee, following your authentic self is inspiring, and watching the way that Kim, thank you for helping her to find that authenticity. And I'm looking at you, Stephanie, for believing her for she went through this very difficult challenges. Look at this freaking bunch of optometrists that we have here. So, to end, the light and teacher in me sees, values, and needs the light and teacher in you. Thank you for letting me be here.
Gosh, that was so good. Thank you.
You're such a remarkable person. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. Oh, wait. Don't look. Here we go. Hold on.
She is perfect. Thank you, Deb, for deep and moving and vulnerable, and we all learned so terribly much today. Thank you to all of the prop people who played their parts so well. We're going to break for 15 minutes. We'll actually get it back going again at 11:30. There are things to enjoy, munch on, eat. Somebody can tell you where the restrooms are in this lovely home. Let's break, socialize for just a couple minutes, process what we've experienced, and we'll come back and we'll share. Thank you.